Good morning, everybody.
Good morning to you.
In case you don't know me, my name is Bradley Mills. I'm a senior at Carlsbad High School, and I've been attending this church since preschool. I became a member of the church in 2012 when I got confirmed under the mentorship of the glorious Dennis Reese. And I've been a proud member of the church ever since. So this place has presented me with some of the greatest friends I could ask for, and some even better mentors. I honestly do not think I'd be up here without, or I'd have the courage or the ability to be up here without Pastor Jeremiah here. So I'd like to thank all of those who've made even the smallest impact on my life and the life of all the other youth in the church. And I really hope that the trend of nurturing and providing a guiding light in our life continues. Now with that said, I'll get started. So I've always grown up in a great home. I've been really close to my parents, and I've been fairly close to my brother and my sister. However, through all this, I've kind of always been at pretty significant odds with my brother. We butt heads over the biggest and the smallest things you can possibly imagine. So this is a pretty common thing among most houses, especially with boys. You know, they kind of fight to establish a hierarchy as kids. Now in most cases, this kind of dies out by the time the kids get older. You know, they get older and this kind of just dies out. You know, they mature. So my brother and I, this hasn't really happened yet. We fight a lot, and again, it's still over those biggest and smallest things. And I really feel like this is going to go on for a long time. So this is where that verse applies to my life, and it's most between my relationship with my brother. So I have a giant problem with admitting I'm wrong to my brother. It's basically impossible. So when I get into a fight with him, it hardly ever leads to a peaceful resolution. It usually ends with one of us leaving or just becoming too tired to carry on with the fight, and so we just kind of end it, you know, we just walk away. And so this kind of leaves nearly everything unanswered, and we don't usually bring it back up unless we're using it against one another. So in Matthew 5, Jesus is beginning his Sermon on the Mount. And so this is a part of the Bible that really I always go to in my life whenever I'm having some kind of problem. Jesus is telling us in verse 21 that murder has always been the main reason one of us would be condemned. And then he says that anyone who insults one another is liable to be thrown into the fires of hell. And then he says that if we ever do any of these things, or bring harm upon another, insult, on and on, we should be the first to reach out for forgiveness and offer our gift on the altar. Now, with my deep, fully developed idea of the Bible at age 17, when Jesus tells us to offer our gifts at the altar, to remember the people that have something against us, and that when we're doing our confessions, remember the people that we have wronged, and try and reconcile with God and apologize to God for that. Then afterwards, go out and make it a priority in your life to reconcile with that person. So Jesus wants us to go and be the first ones to attempt and reconcile with one another. So this Bible passage has been the biggest challenge in my life because, man, is it hard for me to go and apologize. This is not only to my brother, but everybody. My ego is far too overinflated to allow for something like that. I'm just kidding, but really I do find this to be a big challenge. When I get into an argument, I am very passionate about my point of view. And now before I'm really going and thinking about this passage, whenever you want to go say sorry to somebody, I always thought just going to be I'm sorry, not really meaning it at all. So in the eyes of the other, kind of off the hook. So I work at Legoland, and this happens all the time. You get angry people, so you just say I'm sorry, just to get them to go away, you know? Never. So that's where, this is kind of where it's a great misunderstanding with this passage. So going back to my relationship with my brother, I want to be the counterexample to anyone who thinks I don't need to apologize, or that they just can't, they don't have the courage, they can't just find it in themselves to do it, like me. So I want to push you to realize it's possible. Since my brother and I are going to college soon, he's going to go to UCSB, I'm going to go to SDSU, we're not going to see each other on a day-by-day basis like we do now. And so it's really going to lead to or it could lead to a lot of problems when we come home again and see each other after only remembering negative things about each other. I don't know why. So I kind of realized I need to make an effort to try and fix it. So throughout the years, I've really done a terrible job of kind of containing my anger inside of me. You know, I just kind of get angry, but there's no way to like really let it dissipate. So I just find it building up, and I know it's not going to be good for either of us if we come home for summer or Easter and you know, we hate each other. So I think that by trying to forgive each other, mainly me forgiving him, I think it will allow us to repair our relationship a lot, and at least enough that we'll be able to deal with each other when we see each other. So along with Jesus saying that we need to be the first to apologize and reconcile with those we've wronged, I think the opposite of that is also true. And this is where I'm going to stray exactly from what Jesus is saying. We also need to be the first ones and offer forgiveness to the ones who've wronged us. He wants us to be merciful. So if somebody has wronged you, being the first one to show forgiveness, it can be just as good, if not better, than going and asking for forgiveness yourself. Numerous times throughout the New Testament, Jesus has told us and teaches us to show mercy and to love our enemies. And so this connects to another passage, Matthew 7, verse 1, where it says, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged." So when I get into an argument, I severely judge the person based on their opinions. I do this because I just become so passionate in my emotions, I want to win. So I'm really advocating for this reconciliation. When you go and forgive somebody or extend your apology, it means you're trying to reconcile, and that's where putting your gift on the altar stems from. You reconcile with this person, and you go to God and you place this attempt in front of him. And based on that, you will show your true nature. So another example from my life where this passage applies, and as many of you probably know, I've kind of always been like the skinny kid. Don't look at my dad, quite a bit. And so I've always had this problem with bullying because of it. In middle school, it kind of just became a day-to-day thing where it was a regular occurrence for people to pick on me. I went through it all the time. So coping with that, it wasn't too bad, honestly. But then it was compared to anything I got from my brother, any gift, or whatever you want to call it. So in the case with the kids at school, you're always taught they come from a bad home, they have some traumatic experience as a child, and so knowing my brother, I knew it wasn't either of those. So at school, I'd always just brush off the kids' comments or whatever they did. I just brushed it off, and I'd be kind of happy knowing that they were just venting, getting it out. And so since then, a lot of the kids that did this, I found out that's actually totally true. They have come from a bad home, and many of them are now my best friends. We've forgiven each other, or I've forgiven them, and they've apologized. But through the experiences of getting bullied in middle school, I hardened myself to the abuse, because even though you know what they're saying isn't true, it still hurts. So with my experiences with bullying, that's where it was really detrimental to my brother, with my relationship with my brother, because I just built up this kind of immunity to getting picked on or whatever. So I I just kind of got into it. So it's always hard for me to admit my wrongs because I've hardened myself to the abuse that I got. I just can't do it to him. I can't just admit I'm wrong because I think I'll look weak. My brother could just take advantage of that. Ironically though, my brother is now 22 and he would not do that. And I totally know that. We both matured it. When he was age 10 and I was age 6, he would have done that easily. But now, he wouldn't do that. Neither of us would do that. We've grown up and we realize that. But when I'm in a fight, I don't think of that. I'm just oh yeah, you're me. No matter what, I don't care. You're me. That's what I think. And so, because of my emotions, I'm just totally forgetting that he's matured. And I get so into the argument, I just don't let the mental barriers that I've developed, I just don't let them down because I can't. And so that's where it really keeps us from being good friends, and where it really is a lot of my own responsibility to fix my relationship with him, because it's all kind of led to my fault because of my mental barriers. And so my hardening, which was one of my greatest strengths in middle school because it allowed me to get through it okay. It ended up being my greatest weakness at home, and it's ruined a lot. So we're going to wrap up. Luke 12, 57 through 59 gives us a good way forward. The passage starts with conviction, laying the truth in front of us, saying, why do we even need God's presence to tell us what is right and what is wrong? At this point in our history, we as people should be able to figure out right from wrong without God or government. It just seems like it should be an easy thing to do. And in the beginning, I think this message of being the one to forgive was naturally easy for all of us. We can just, if somebody hurt you, you forgive them, they forgive you, let it off. But we've hardened ourselves. We've come to think we should always be right. This is either due to society, some social belief that's just developed over the centuries. And we should admit we are sorry when we hurt somebody. There's not a single case where that's not true. All the time. And God wants us to have the integrity to stay true to who He created us to be. And not affect others in a negative way. We must let down the mental barriers we put up in order to keep the abuse from hurting us. And sometimes it's good to let it hurt us, because then we realize that we are human. We need to go back to that. We need to help our outlook on life so that we leave only positive memories in the wake of our existence. Through Jesus and the beliefs that cause us to sit under this roof in the name of God, we must go and be the merciful people we are expected to be, and always sacrifice a bit of our pride and our passion in order to live in the harmony God intended. Thank you.